This is the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio hour and podcast. I'm your host, life coach Myrna Young, and in the guest stir today is Adri Kyser. Adri is an international holistic wellness and personal development coach, and we are going to be talking today on the very exciting topic of going from limited to limitless. And Adri is going to give us 4 key components to health, happiness, and fulfillment. Welcome, Adri. Now, do you prefer me to call you Adri or Adriana?
Adri is great. Adriana, I feel it's like when I'm in trouble, you know, when parents give the full name, when they call you Adriana Kaiser. Well, Kaiser is my married name, but my maiden name is like, oh, I did something wrong. So,
yeah. Well, that is very true. My daughter knows when I call her by her full name, she's in trouble. So that is excellent. All right. So Adri, excellent. All right. Well, Adriana Kaiser, which is how your team sent it to me, is an international wellness expert who has spent the past 15 years helping highly driven women stop feeling stressed and overwhelmed and start living a healthier, happier, and more fulfilling life. Using her enlightened alchemy method, she has helped thousands of women worldwide achieve everything from reduced pain and stress to increased confidence and productivity. She's also the co-author of the best-selling book, Overcoming Adversity and Entrepreneurship. So once again, welcome, Adri. So one of the things I always like to do when I start off the show is to have my guests, you know, kind of let the listeners understand their journey to where they are now in their career and to becoming a wellness expert. And I also like the fact that you went to law school and you're from Venezuela. By the way, I'm from Guyana, South America, so we're like neighbors. So tell us your journey.
yes, you know, since I was a little girl, I always wanted to make a positive difference in people's life. It's something I couldn't even explain. It's like this inner fire, this inner knowing, this passion. And it was particularly about helping the underdog, probably because I saw myself as an underdog myself. I was abused as a child. I was bullied. I was told I wasn't good enough. And it didn't matter how much success I have achieved in my life. It didn't matter that I have traveled the world or that I've gone to law school or that I speak multiple languages or that I have grown a successful career. In the back of my head, all I could hear is like, you're not good enough. You're not good enough to do this. You're not good enough to do that. And I remember clearly one time I'm taking my yoga training certification and this person comes in and talks about the opportunity to work at this fancy location and to ask her for more information. So as I approached her to ask her more about the possible job, she goes, oh no, this is like somebody, this is not for you. This is like for somebody like that and that. So
wow.
All I hear was, you're not good enough.
Well, of course, that's what she's saying though. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So all this, what I didn't know at the time, what I know now is that all the years of buried emotions and memories led to chronic pain because my coping mechanism was never to be like, oh, poor me, or I'm a victim or blame others. My coping mechanism was like, let me push harder, let me try so harder, let me prove to myself and others that I am good enough. So all these years of me looking on the outside like I have it all together, on the inside I felt like I was crumbling or falling apart. And like many people like you and me or anybody listening, we have experienced some type of pain in our life, pain from heartbreak, loss, disappointment, failure, or even abuse. And what you and I have in common is that we cope with pain the best way we can with the tools we have at any given time. So as I mentioned, for me, it was bearing all those memories and emotions and pushing myself harder. For some people, is turning to food, eating away through their feelings, hoping that food will fill this void. For some people, it's waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, stressing and worrying and even repeating the argument, or waiting, like beginning to play an argument in their head. So all these different things eventually catches up with you, affecting your health, your relationships, your finances, and your business. So for the past 15 years, I have really dedicated my life to holistic wellness, because what changed for me was that it came to a point where I knew I had to address the mental and emotional aspects of myself, and not just the physical pain, because I tried all these conventional treatments just to get me temporary results. So right there, what I did was change the narrative of your story, change other ways of how you can do your personal work, so you can really get to the root cause of your pain and your problems, so you can heal it. So for the past 15 years, that's what I've done. I've done a lot of certifications and trainings, but more importantly, I help over 4,500 men and women worldwide, because to help them change the narrative of those painful memories, so they can tap into their own superpower, so they can really go from being limited to living a life full of limitless potential. And during this time of working with my clients and my personal work, I found 4 key components to long-lasting health, happiness, and fulfillment. And they are: number 1, physical health, how you take care of your body. Number 2, mental wellness, how you perceive the world. Number 3, emotional intelligence, how you experience the world. And number 4, spiritual connection, how you feed your soul. So as we talk about these 4 components, I want the audience to notice which areas they need to concentrate the most, because they are interconnected. And when you really begin to work in these foundations, these pillars, you begin to shift or see tremendous transformations in your life. Whatever I teach and whatever I offer through my coaching programs, etc., is things that I have done myself to help me heal from the inside out, to become empowered and no longer be driven by this negative voice or this imposter syndrome that a lot of us, especially women, have, that voice that's constantly saying, are you sure you can do that? You're not good enough to do that. That voice that feeds your fears, your insecurities, and even your self-sabotaging behavior. That negative voice is like, that's your ability to grow, to succeed, and to even live the life to the fullest potential. So I'm an open book, and I really what I share are things that I have done, that I have worked with my clients with, and that we have seen results. Because if you want to really have long-lasting transformations, it has to start within. So
Yes,
that's
of
in a
course.
nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yes, that's actually pretty good. So that is, when if we want to change, then it's never from the exterior. It's always on the interior. And when you were talking, there's a couple of things that, circle back to me. One, you're not good enough. I think I heard somewhere that that is the predominant message that a lot of women have. Even, Michelle Obama wrote a whole book on it, Becoming. And even as the first lady, she always maybe sometimes had in her head, maybe you're not good enough for this role. You're not good enough for this. She's a lawyer. She's a first lady. She's not good enough. Because you're right. What happens is maybe it got imprinted in her because maybe a teacher said it, boyfriend rejected her, or whatever we do. And you're very right that if you stuff it down and don't actually know that you're hurt, or then it comes up in chronic pain. It comes up, yeah, the food thing is big, because a lot of times when you eat, or even when you drink or take drugs or any of that stuff, you are trying to artificially change your state. And one of the best way to change your state is to, go inwards, maybe be in gratitude, because that's basically what I do. Whenever I'm feeling depressed or down or whatever, there's you can and it doesn't have to be anything big that you can feel gratitude for. You can even feel gratitude for something as simple as your breath. So you went ahead and talked about the 4 components, but we're dive deeper into it in a couple of minutes. But I like, I like what you said about holistic wellness. And yeah, so a reverse question is, what is your method for teaching for having someone understand what emotions they've stuffed down?
Yeah, so what I call the process enlightened alchemy. And this is a process that was born from my personal experience, and then from working with clients, the process of the transformation of itself, and not just is the physical, mental, and emotional, even the spiritual transformation of oneself. Because for me, when I was having this chronic pain and I was having these particular situations come up in my life, at the beginning I was going from traditional treatments. Let's try to do this. Until one day I realized I don't want to live the rest of my life taking medication like I'm eating candy. I really want to feel empowered. I don't want to be putting my life out there or my goals based on somebody else's expectations. When I first moved to the US back in 1995, I encountered racist remarks for being an immigrant, for having an accent, for being different, for the color of my skin, for the way I look. And they were very, very, very.
But you were beautiful, or you are beautiful still.
Thank you. Thank you. But those are the things, like those words, the stuff that I heard and how I was profiled, it really stayed with me. And for months, for months, I didn't speak in public because I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I didn't feel good enough. I felt belittled. So fast forward to now, where I have traveled worldwide and speak in front of audiences in a language that's not my mother tongue, because I speak Spanish fluently. I grew up speaking Spanish. So those were things that in that moment back then, what I realized is that I was allowing myself to be seen, to be put in a box based on other people's expectations or other people's ideas or other people's visions. And I realized that it was more painful to not be who I was and not to become the person I knew I was meant to be. It was more painful to play small,
to stuff yourself down,
right,
right,
than being rejected and being put out there. And something I want to tell everybody is that this is something that gets me through. When the little voice, doesn't matter how much work I've been doing on myself for all these years, there are moments where I go, are you sure you can do this? Like, we all get that moment, right? And the moment I get that, I always tell myself, nobody that's doing as much as you are or more than you will ever criticize you, because the credit doesn't go to the critic. The credit goes to the person in the arena, showing up, falling down, getting back up.
I like that.
Getting
yeah.
That part of like holistic wellness for me, and how I work with my clients, whether they want to come to me because they are in pain or because they want to get stronger or they want to have a better business or whatever it is, whatever brings them to me, we work in a holistic way. Because for me, what made transformations was not just addressing the pain or one particular area of my life. It was addressing all those 4 components in my life. So when I work with my clients, I meet them where they are, but then I invite them and give them the opportunity, as we start working together, to go deeper into those layers. So then because oftentimes we don't know where those limiting beliefs are. We don't know what our stopping points are. We don't know what our ceiling or our money ceiling is. So it takes somebody else from the outside in, not to do the work for you, but to give you the tools and the guidance so you do the work. So I'm not here to be like, let me fix you. I'm here to, like, if you're ready to do your work, if you're ready to be successful, if you're ready to get the soulmate, if you're ready to lose the weight, if you're ready to make X amount of money in your business, I'm here to help you go within, clear the stuff, remove the stuff that's preventing you from getting there, so you can feel empowered, so you can feel confident, so you can know your true potential, because we're the last ones to see our own divinity. We forget how powerful we are.
Well, that was one of the things that when I became, because I'm a certified life coach, and when I became a coach, that was one of the things that was very difficult for me, because I thought that coaches tell people what to do. And a lot of the clients that I have, I remember one of my first clients, she wanted me to help her with her business. And she says, well, I want you to come in and I want you to tell me what to do, like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And in coaching, we know that's not what we do. We are supposed to be enabling, or we're supposed to be having the clients understand their blockages, understand, looking at the past, see what are some of their patterns, that kind of thing. So I understand definitely what you're saying about you helping your clients to reach their potential, because you are the person that's on the outside and you're helping them to get to where they're going. So is your enlightened alchemy based on your 4 principles, the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual, or that's something else?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Like I said, everything is holistic. So
Okay.
if you want to come to me to lose 10 pounds in a week, I might be helping you, but that's not my clientele. My clientele is the people that want long-lasting transformations. Because yes, I can tell you, do this diet and lose the 10 pounds, but guess what? When you gain it again.
Or you can stop eating.
Yeah, I want to teach you how to really have the long-lasting results. For me, I also call myself energy alchemist because I do a lot of energy work and activation. Yeah. So those are things what I have. The reason I call it alchemy is because I have so many certifications and tools under my belt since I did to heal myself. It was like a progression. One thing led to the other. So when I work with clients, even group coaching programs, they're very customized. So I may use some of these tools for you today, and the next session I may use something else. It might be completely different for somebody else because everybody's unique. So I truly believe in the holistic approach, mind, body, emotions, and spirit. So that everything we do, whether it's business coaching or life coaching or whatever it is, includes all 4 pillars. And again, that's what I see in the results. I'm a living proof of my methods, but I have also people that see tremendous transformation. Just to illustrate this point of how the mind, body, and emotions are connected. A while back, I had this particular client. She was having TMJ. She was having chronic pain. She was grinding her teeth at night. She was not sleeping well. And she kept going from doctor to doctor, trying to figure out what's going on. So they prescribed medications, and then she had to take more medication for the side effects and all this stuff. So finally, one day she calls me and says, Adri, I wanna give it a try. I don't feel like myself. I'm doing all these different things like I just explained. So we started working together. In about 8 weeks into our process, we changed part of her diet. She started taking my yoga classes and meditation classes online. We started to do some of this limiting belief work and some energy work. And one day I remember clearly, she calls me and says, Adri, you won't believe this. I smiled today for the first time in a long time. So within that period of time, her self-image improved, her posture improved. She didn't have pain anymore. It decreased tremendously, and she felt like herself again. So the mind and body, you want to think of it as a triangle, that they are in constant communication. And when one is out of balance, it will affect the other too. So you can be in pain, and it's going to affect your mental wellness. It's going to affect how you feel with others. So it's impossible to be like happy and grateful and bubbly and have this intense chronic pain and have positive thoughts. So again, eventually when you start working one, you start working on the other two, and you find balance and harmony. And that's when you experience long-lasting health.
Yeah, that's excellent. So thanks for that story, because it gives me an understanding, instead of me asking you individual questions about how you work. So yeah, diet, nutrition is very important. Meditation and yoga, very important. I mean, I think this is like the 3rd time now I'm talking about this book, but on the show, but I'm actually reading Satguru's book right now on inner engineering. And he is just talking about the benefits of yoga. I mean, I even signed up for a yoga class.
Good for you. I love it. I cannot wait to see you.
I know about yoga being a mind-body connection for a long time, but listening to him talking about listening and put it in the consciousness space is, sold me on it. So I see. And then, of course, I've always, I had almost a level 10 pain in my lower back, almost my hip. And I got rid of that pain by meditating into it. So I understand the mind-body connection. So, and I like also the fact that you used the word alchemy. So you creatively design programs based on what the need of your clients. So that's pretty good. But I wanna touch on one of your pillars. I like that word, that maybe someone listening needs some information on, because I know everybody knows about the physical, everybody knows the mental, everybody knows the spiritual. A lot of people don't understand emotional intelligence. Touch on that one for me, as far as how can emotional intelligence, let's put it into context. How can emotional intelligence help someone with pain or emotions that they've stuffed down? Yeah. Even, let's use the one that we've been talking about, you're not good enough. Give me an example of that.
Yeah, so to answer that question, let me touch on two pillars really quick. One, which is the physical body. Yes, we know diet and exercise is important, but we have to find the right diet, the right exercise for you. In addition to that, you need to do self-care practices and find ways to manage stress properly or in a positive way, because we know stress is the #1 cause of disease. So what can you do to improve your physical health? Because I like to always start with the physical body, because it's the foundation. It's where you're gonna see results the fastest. It's the most tangible. So yes, yoga and meditation is #1. Taking probiotics will be fantastic as well, because it boosts your immune system. I do what is called morning elixir, which is a warm cup of water with apple cider vinegar and a fresh lemon, because it helps to reduce inflammation and balance your pH. And there's so many.
I drink that every morning.
Yeah,
I put honey in mine though, but so.
Yeah, some people put honey because they want it sweeter, but that right
no, it hasn't sweeter. I put the honey because I thought they work together. So
yeah, they work, but some people use it for the taste.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The reason I mention this is because your body remembers everything that you ever done, every emotion, every thought, how you're eating, how you're sleeping. So your body keeps track of everything. So now moving to the mental part of it, your thoughts. On average, an individual has about 70,000 thoughts per day. And it's about 10% of those thoughts are original thoughts. So meaning 90% of your thoughts are repetition of the day before, week before, so forth.
I think it's even higher than that. I think they said 95%.
Wow.
Yeah, right. But anyway, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So the thing with this is your belief will affect your biology, meaning your belief will affect how your body responds. It changes your biochemistry. So that's why the mind and body are so important. Now, coming back to the emotional intelligence, a few minutes ago, I mentioned your body keeps track of everything, stores emotions, holds to emotions, experiences, etc., and thoughts. Your belief change your biology. So emotional intelligence refers to your ability to notice, express, and to control your own emotions, and to notice as well and to manage how those emotions affect you and affect those around you in positive or negative ways. What people don't know is that emotions are molecules that carry information that gets into your cell. Once again, your emotions will affect the functioning of your cells. Your emotions will affect your biology, just as your thoughts. So emotional intelligence is important, because if you don't have emotional intelligence, you are not able to relate with the world around you, with others. You're not able to read the social cues. But emotional intelligence also empowers you to take control back of your life. So you're no longer coming from a victim place. You're no longer pointing fingers because that person did this to me. I cannot do, or I can only do whatever. So emotional intelligence is about understanding how you're managing the emotions that you're experiencing. According to Ayurveda, which is the sister science of yoga, which is the art of longevity, is the art of being whole again in a natural way. according to Ayurveda, the emotions that are not expressed or digested properly, they get buried in your tissue and fascia. And
Yeah.
that will
Yeah. Yeah.
affect your physical well-being again as well.
Yeah.
So over 15 years of me teaching wellness and teaching yoga, I have my share of students in my class that towards the end of the class they start to cry. And I don't want you guys thinking if you go to a yoga class or my yoga class you're gonna cry. But the reason this happens is because the mindful breathing, or the conscious breathing, the mindset, the movements, etc., increases the movement of energy. Oftentimes, well, in yoga it's called prana. In other modalities are called chi or
Right.
ki,
Right.
etc.
Right. Right. Right.
It's a movement
Good.
of energy. So when these students are crying, it's because finally some of those very memories and emotions are coming to
Are
the
you
surface
releasing it?
and released.
So they can release it without even being aware of it. It just comes out. Is that what you're saying?
For some people will know exactly, oh my gosh, this is related to A, B, C, or D. For
Okay.
some
All right.
people, one student one day, she's like, you know what? I don't know what happened. All of a sudden I started crying, but I feel so much better now. I feel lighter.
Okay.
So she didn't know where this is coming from. It could have been from a few days before. It could have been stuff from
From
years before.
years.
So
I actually do that. I heard, I was listening to a podcast because I'm in the business, so I listen to a lot of podcasts. And I'm always listening to self-improvement podcasts. And I listened to, and I think it was Deepak Chopra or someone of the spiritual leaders was saying that a lot of times we bury, same thing you're saying, you bury the emotion, and then you're starting to feel, when you're in the vicinity, right, you feel bad, but you don't know why you're feeling bad, right? And what he said was, whenever you're feeling that you're not feeling good, then you just release it, breathe and release it. And after I heard that, um, in the next couple of weeks, there's so many incidences of me feeling this thing inside. And then I was able to recognize that, you know what, I must have buried something regarding this. And what I did was starting to breathe and release. So it's the same thing you're doing. So you're talking about chi and, yoga and the movement of energy, but, and even I just did my last interview, I was also a coach, and she was calling it catch and release. So once you catch it, you release it. So it's the same thing. So, yeah,
and
right.
also having the awareness, for example, like anger is in your livers, grief is in your chest and lungs. So
Right.
that goes to show you the impact emotions have in your body and physical wellness. So in the other part of it, what I like about emotional intelligence is giving you the opportunity to take your power back. So if somebody is making you angry, then you're like, why am I choosing to be angry about this? Instead of being like, that person makes me so mad because blah, blah, blah. And then you get into this whole thing that only leads to more negativity. It's like, okay, what is triggering? What is this within me that gets triggered by this action? Because your brain wants to prove you right. So whatever you concentrate on is going to grow. So if you're constantly thinking, I'm not good enough, guess what? You're going to attract people in your life, situations and circumstances that are going to prove you right, that you're not good enough. When you say, you know what, I'm worthy, I'm valuable, I'm lovable, whatever it is, you're going to attract those people that are going to prove you right.
I also like the trigger word you just said too, is that, you take your power back by not letting people trigger you. Because one of the things we learned from childhood is if when somebody recognizes that they can trigger you by saying certain things, they will say it. You know what I mean? Just to get a response from you, and it will trigger you. So taking your power back is not allowing, and this happens a lot in spousal relationships or relationships with intimate relationships. When someone knows that you react to certain things, if they want to trigger you, then they would say these things or whatever. And getting your power back is saying that, hey, you know what, I'm in control of me, and I don't let anybody else control me as far as my thoughts and my responses. So that's good.
And the other part about the trigger instead of is going deeper and recognizing where that part within yourself is getting triggered. Where is this hurt coming from? Because if you come and tell me, Adri, you know what, you're really not good rocket scientist, I wouldn't get triggered because
Right, right. Because you're not a rocket scientist. Right. Yep.
Whatever. So when I
Yep.
trigger, it's triggering something within me that is not part of the whole.
That is that you almost believe. Yeah.
Right. That's not part of the whole. That's something that's separated. That's something, whether it's learned behavior, generational DNA, whatever past experiences, that comes back from a limiting belief, right? So once you work on yourself and you realize, you know what? If somebody right now tells me, either you're a horrible coach or you're a bad yoga teacher, probably it will hurt me, but at the same time, it's like, it's not true, because I know for
you know. That's awesome. I like that.
That part that no longer triggers me. It would have triggered me 15 years ago when I was brand new.
Yeah.
But no.
And you had insecurities, right?
So now that's what I'm talking about, triggers. Just like recognizing, well, if there's a trigger still around this, that means there's still a part of me that's not part of the whole. There's still beliefs all lie. So we heal that. And the next time that happens, I'm no longer triggered because it's
I like that because listen, that's almost one of the biggest aha moments from our conversation, because a lot of people get triggered, and including me. And I'm a coach. I can get triggered. There are certain things that you say, yeah, you know what? That doesn't bother me because I know who I am, or you're not responsible for my happiness, or something like that. But then, there are certain things that would still probably trigger you, and you gotta go and erase that, rub it out.
Right. And the thing is, one thing I want to make sure that people understand, we're human beings. Anger, grief, sadness, jealousy, all this stuff are human emotions.
Yeah.
We have to feel them. We have to. So if something bothers me, right, and I try to avoid the anger, I'm just burying it down. Right. But if I go like, okay, this is making me angry, but what is this angry telling me? What? So it's having the responsibility and the maturity and the tools necessary to go deeper and be like, okay, I'm angry. I'm going to be angry, but let me walk through this anger instead of showing it out. Oh, I'm a yoga teacher. I never get angry. That's not true, So emotional bypass. We have to feel our emotions in order to process them, in order to release them, and in order to learn the lessons that they want to give us. So the next time that happens, your reaction might be milder and milder to one moment where you're like, oh,
gone totally. Hey, this is good stuff. Good conversation. All right, so let's get to our main part of our topic. So how do you go from limited to limitless? How does working on these three pillars or modalities, or four, help you to go to being limitless? Because obviously, if you're operating with limited mindsets, right, then you are going to be limited. So how do we transcend that and become limitless?
Yes, like I mentioned, I like to start with the physical body, because that's where you're going to start seeing the fastest results. That's what's the most tangible. So
but your physical body is not limitless.
No, but so the thing is, I start with the physical body because that's where you begin the transformation. When your physical needs are met, when you feel safe and secure, when you are comfortable in your own skin, then you're going to be able to go deeper in the other layers. So when it comes to living a limitless life, it's recognizing where your self-imposed limitations are. I'm not talking about wanting to fly, because we are not designed to fly, but we can fly and soar in our businesses. We can fly and soar in our personal relationships, in our growth. So the limits that we have oftentimes come from self-imposed limitations, or limits that other people have build around us, right? So it starts from doing your personal work, physical body, but then the main two when it comes to living a limitless life is working in your mindset and working in your emotional intelligence. Because, again, people oftentimes are not aware of what they're thinking. If you're having 70,000, 80,000, 90,000 thoughts per day, Can I ask you what they are? You probably won't know. I mean, you may remember the newest one or the most recent one, but you don't keep track of that. So if
they're all subconscious, right?
Yeah, they're subconscious,
right,
they run in the background. It's like having multiple tabs open in your computer. You only see the one in front of you. So limiting beliefs are the ones that run in the background. 90% of your behavior is driven by your unconscious mind. 90% of your behavior is unconscious. So if you're walking around saying, I don't have enough money, or I'm broke, or everything I do fails, I'm not good enough, or I'm too much of that.
Or with you, I have an accent. Nobody want to hear me speak, right? Yes.
So those things, they're constantly playing in the background, and that becomes that constant thought becomes a belief. The belief gets reinforced by your emotions, that leads to action or inaction. So when it comes to becoming limitless, it's really becoming aware, because awareness is key, of the thoughts and emotions you're experiencing on a regular basis. So number one thing that anybody can do right now is grab a journal. So if you don't journal, start a journal practice where you write down your thoughts and emotions you're having on a regular basis. And then after that, you can either do once a week or once a month. Go and review what you're writing. Why? Because you're going to see patterns. You're going to see, oh my gosh, look how many times I mentioned this thing throughout the month or throughout the week. This is key because, again, as I mentioned, awareness is key. You cannot change something you don't know that it's changing. It's like being in a dark room that's dirty and messy, but because the lights are out, you don't see the mess or the dirt until you turn the lights on. Another thing about journaling is that being scientifically proven that it helps to improve your health, your well-being. It helps to reduce feelings of stress and anxiety and depression. And it helps to train your brain to see the positive in your life. Why? Because your brain is hardwired towards the negative. Let's say you have 10 experiences today. 5 of them are neutral, 4 are positive, and 1 is negative. Chances are that you're going to
remember the negative, and it's going to play in your head all the time. Right.
Correct. So when you're journaling and do these things, you start paying attention. I created a workbook that I'm happy to offer to your audience. It's free. It's a workbook I created for my clients, but people always ask me about this. It's simple, but it gives you some exercises and things that you can implement right away for you to become aware and notice what are some of your limiting beliefs running in the background right now. So oftentimes people come to me and says, I want to start a business, or I want to buy a house, but I don't have money, or this happens. So right there, the relationship with money is not the most positive one. They have a limiting belief around money, and oftentimes they don't know it. The thing about limiting beliefs is the limiting belief will also keep you away from finding the solution unless you become aware of it and then make the decision and choose to do something about it. So if somebody has a limiting belief about money, I don't have enough money, I want to buy stuff on the cheap, etc., that money situation, that money limiting beliefs is going to prevent them from taking the course, hiring the coach, doing the trainings, whatever it is that will help them improve their finances. So with this From Limited to Limitless workbook that I do, I give them the tools for them to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this is a limiting belief I have. And that gives you the awareness.
Yeah, they're probably saying, it's factual, I don't have the money. How can it be a belief? Yes. Well, but you've got to understand that the universe is unlimited and the universe is abundant. And
money is energy, and money and your relationship with money. So, for example, I'm Latina, right? I grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees.
On trees, right?
So
you're from a poor country, so am I, right?
Exactly.
Yes, right.
That's oftentimes these limiting beliefs are cultural or based on location. Right. They're so common that we learn them and we don't realize that we have them because they're so natural to us, or that they're so normal, so to speak.
Right,
so
right.
It's natural that you may not have money, but there's things that you can do to improve your relationship with money, to raise your money feeling, to become a manifestor and abundant being rather than live in scarcity. Because again, what you concentrate
to become a money magnet, so that somebody give you that money or it comes to you. Yes.
And to keep it, because you can attract all the money, but if you have a money ceiling, then that money comes in and immediately
goes back up. Right.
So that's the thing that you have to, first of all, to decide to live a limitless life, you have to decide, choose, and then B, take action. Because when you, what I call inspired action, is that moment, that feeling, that the scene that you wake up in the middle of the night, or you're driving and all of a sudden you hear a thought or have something. That's why your inspiration, right? Or your intuition, actually, your intuition. And if you take action, it's called inspired action that leads to positive results. But if you're like, oh, I'll do it later. Oh no, I don't know, whatever. That your intuition.
That's big. Yeah, I work with a lot of inspired actions, right? Yes.
Yeah,
and that's actually one of Tony Robbins' words too, inspired action. Yep.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. If you don't take action, then that moment, it within 30 seconds.
And then you get less and less of those inspirations if you don't use it.
Yes.
So how can our clients or our listeners get your workbook? Tell them how they can get a hold of you because listen, I'm a coach and I feel like I've been in a coaching session. You're good at what you do. You're good at what you do. You're passionate at what you do. And I can actually tell that you get results. So go ahead. Yes.
My expertise is honing in and seeing like, oh yes, you're talking about this, but I know this is the thing where we need to concentrate on.
Right.
Find me on my website is Adri Kyser. That's ADRIKYSER, like my name, adrikaiser.com. Instagram, same thing, Adri Kyser. Social media, Facebook, Adri Kyser as well. And for the PDF or for the free ebook, I believe you have the link that you can provide them with them, but they can also go to adrikaiser.com/free-gifts, free gifts, and they can go there and download it. Because before I go, I'm gonna leave you with a quick story.
Okay, hang on, before we move on to that. Nobody sent me the link. So after our conversation, you sent me the link, a transcript of our conversation, including links to your website and links to the free gift to download will be on my blog, which is blog.myhelps.us. So send me the link and I will attach it to the show page. But just in case, I'm pretty sure that anybody can finesse around your website and get the book and download it as well. All right. So but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So my son is now 17, but about 7 years ago, we go to San Diego. My in-laws live there, and we go to the San Diego Zoo. And we're walking around, and we see this obstacle course. And he's like, "Let's do it, Mom!" And so him and I start getting the harness on, and the person, working there, he's like, "Okay, do you want to do the beginners or the intermediate course?" And he's like, "The intermediate course." He's like, "Okay, so you need to know that there's no coming back. There's no an exit. You have to finish the entire course."
Oh my gosh.
Okay, fine, that's fine. So we start doing the course, and he's like grinning from ear to ear, and he's so excited and stuff. But as we start doing the course, it gets progressively harder and harder and harder. We get to this platform where we're about 50, 60 feet up in the air. All you see is scenery and bushes and trees and stuff. And in front of us is this course, these obstacles where they're like platforms. Let's call it floating stepping stones up in the air.
Oh, you're kidding. Wow.
So they're connected to two cables, to the main cable where we our harness were clipped on. So he's like, "Mom, go first." So I go first, and I could see, I have butterflies in my stomach and stuff because it was a little scary. So then I get to the next platform and turn around, and I could see that green is gone. He's in sheer panic. Eyes are starting to get watery. So he takes a first step, and he starts swinging from side to side, and he's shaking. So I go, "Christian, look at me, take a deep breath, listen to what I'm doing." So I started coaching him. And we finished the obstacle course. And at the end, he goes, "Mom, thank you so much for believing in me, for not giving up, because I wouldn't have finished this obstacle course without you." Yeah. The reason I say this is because we are all going to experience obstacles in our lives. But
Good analogy. Yeah.
If you decide to step out of your comfort zone, if you're willing to work on yourself, if you're willing to try something new, just like me and my son, you can find new levels of strength, confidence, comfort, warmth, success that you never thought possible. So
yeah, you always have to push yourself, because if you stay in your comfort zone, you're never going to excel. You've got to push yourself. Yeah. Good analogy.
So, okay. Thank you. Welcome. Yeah. So I want to invite people to know that now is the time for them to really work in upgrading their mindset, their health, their relationships. Now is the time for them to know and realize that they're worthy, capable, and deserving of having everything they want. Now is the time for them to step into their power and become the person you know you're meant to be. So now is the time, guys.
Yes, yes, yes. I posted something on Facebook just a couple of days about that, because everybody always seems to think that it's not the right time, that there's always going to be a better time, and the better time never comes. Whatever, if you think there's an obstacle today and you're waiting for a better time for tomorrow, another obstacle will come. Even if you overcome this one, there's going to be another obstacle, because that's how life is. You've got, we're both from in a culture that has all these sayings. One of my sayings is, you got to take the bull by the horn and you got to just do it. Right. So awesome. Now, this has been a really incredible episode, Adri. It was jam-packed from beginning to end with some really good information and really good content. I want to, as we wrap up, I want to thank our listeners for staying with us until the very end. Make sure you start to implement some of the things that Adriana or Adri talked about. One of the things I liked, the physical, the mental, your emotional intelligence, and we didn't touch on your spiritual connection. Well, we all know that, or at least you should know, that we're spiritual beings. Our thoughts and our energy make up our spiritual being, and you can never find fulfillment and peace if you don't believe in a higher power, if you don't believe in God or the universe, or when a lot of the times what you'll get is getting you in touch with your body, mind, and soul. Because a lot of times, we live in the physical world and don't remember that we're spiritual beings. So spirituality is a very important piece. And I also like the fact that Adriana talked about journaling. I always journal. I do it mainly to download, because like she talked about those thoughts that are swirling around in your mind. And when you get a negative thought, or I'm always thinking of having a conversation with somebody. So what I do, I write it down and I download it, and that releases it, helps you with your energy, helps you with your focus. So definitely, work on I've never actually looked at my journals to see patterns, but that's good information, that if you're journaling, you can see patterns. I do my journaling to download. I do my journaling to set goals and to, invoke the law of attraction, because that's another thing. When you write things down, right, you give it form, and it also has its own energy. So really, really good session. If you guys haven't done so yet, I want to ask you to remember to, subscribe to the Transform Your Mind podcast on iTunes, so that you can, iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, so that you get it in your inbox. I would like you, if you guys are an iPhone or an iTunes user, to subscribe on iTunes, as well as rate and review. I mentioned that you can get a transcript of my conversation with Adri. She left a lot of good nuggets on the table today. So if you want to review some of that, head over to the show page, which is blog.myhelps.us. And you would also see links there to not only her page and her offer, but also the sponsors that sponsored the episode today. I want to remind you to support the advertiser that's advertising the show. And and one last thing, I also want to invite you guys all to join my Facebook group. It's called Life Coach. And we have lots of life coaches on there giving good, inspiring messages. I'll link up with you as well there, Adri, and you can share some of your beautiful work on the page. So that's all I have. I know you give a really great ending message just now, but is there anything you want to add to that, Adriana? I'm going to call you Adriana.
just, become friends. Don't be afraid of facing obstacles. See them as opportunity for growth. So we are so afraid of failing. We're so afraid of having an obstacle or whatever it is. Just go for it. I truly believe that you have within yourself everything you need to succeed. So when an obstacle comes, think of it as, oh, I'm going to the next level. Oh, I'm
Yes.
now getting stronger. Oh, I'm now getting
Yes.
wiser. So become
Yes.
friends. If you fall, no big deal. Dust off, get up again, keep
Yes.
going, keep
Yes.
living, keep enjoying life.
That's awesome. Well, listen, I don't know if I thanked you just now in my little monologue, but I want to make sure I thank you for coming on the show and definitely inspiring both me and our listeners. And of course, now that we are on YouTube, if you any of you listening on the radio or on the podcast and you want to see us live, head over to the Transform Your Mind podcast on YouTube, and you can watch us live with this interview. So thank you guys all again. Adri, thank you.
Thank you.
And until next time, namaste.
Namaste.